Mothership Connection.
Thank you for tuning in to Mind Your Business. MYB Talk Radio, the business radio talk show that talks all about business. I'm your host, Miss Robin-Annette, and this program is brought to you by Mothership Productions. Mothership Productions is your marketing, branding, multimedia, and advertising, including web development, radio broadcasting, and radio advertising. EPH Designs is partnered with Mothership Productions, and EPH Designs LLC is our CAD drafting design project management service to build, engineer, and design all of your new business locations. You can call us at 240-389-8934. Today's topic phrase on MYB is baking all the way to the bank. Today we're going to be speaking about the baking industry, how to create your own business, how much money is to be made, big names in the biz, little history, and much, much more. Before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to a personal friend of mine, a good friend of mine by the name of Marcel, Desserts by Marcel. I ran into him today. I told him about the baking show, and he blessed me with 2 yummy, yummy cupcakes. And he has several quality products, and he's online and actually on Facebook also. So, Marcel, I really want to thank you. And as I said, he is Desserts by Marcel. Everything should be this good, and it surely is, because I already cleaned off one. So I thank you very much for that, Marcel. God bless you. To Eatocracy on CNN.com. On January 4th, they reported some food and drink trends for 2013. Now, this is per the famous international chef Mario Batali. He says the 2013 predictions will be wild line caught fish, and that's from both lakes and oceans. Some crunchy vegetables will be eaten, like broccoli and asparagus and things like that, cabbage. Also handmade foods, not processed foods. Just, I guess, I'm sure we're trying to all get a little healthier. And wines, guys. Outside of the big three, they suggested those three were Cabernet, Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay. Now, I am a food, at least a wine connoisseur myself, so I had to add to the list by saying, because those are all red wines, except for the Chardonnay, but the Sauvignon Blanc is one of my favorite, Pinot Grigio, and there's a really tasty peach wine outside of the red ports called Moscato. So, okay, guys, well, according to pfisterconsulting.com, the records show that in 2600 BC, bread was baked by Egyptians, and they learned this skill from Babylonians. The royal bakery of Ramesses features bread and cakes. So that's a little history on that. And according to the aristocrats, the ancient Greeks also made some type of donut, and that was made with crude flour and honey called disporis. And that's a ring-like cake submerged in wine and consumed hot. So the baking industry has definitely been a part of the economy and definitely part of our history. We want to wonder where all the money goes to, and I'll go into some of the big, huge price tags, and you understand what I'm saying. But I remember myself trying to bake even as a kid, and I'm teaching my daughter now, Harmony. She's 8 years old, perfect age. She's really starting to gravitate towards the kitchen, just as I did, and I'm sure many of you all did, probably even younger than that. And it's very interesting, and it's fun. It's something, baking and cooking is something that is family-oriented. And I was a self-taught cook. According to the American Bakers Association, that's the ABA, baking has a direct impact. This is what I was telling you before about the huge impact on the U.S. economy and the backbone as one of the industries to America. The baking and worldwide, really. Baking has a direct impact of $102 billion a year in the U.S. and accounts for 633 American jobs. So as I said, this really has a big effect. And even deeper, they said, they were saying that, as you can imagine, the baking industry is a huge part of the economy, accounting for $311 billion in total outputs. And that's including resources like equipment. Also, according to the ABA, the ABA paid $38.5 billion in taxes. So that's another interesting fact. We're all paying taxes here, including individual industries. So anyway, guys, call in 1-877-704-1010 or 410-481-1010 or listen live on WOLBbaltimore.com. And for the radio show's website, you can go to www.mybtalkradio.com. You actually see me in the studio. I do some YouTube clips. Matter of fact, I'm recording right now, and you can take a look at me in the studio, find out more information, look at some previous shows, and how to find out how to keep MYB informing you on the radio. Make sure you can go to that page and look at the sponsorships and advertisements, and you can come in and we can talk about a few things in your expertise. But as you call in, guys, keep these in mind. I want to know basically what is your story. Briefly tell me how you all started. Are you Meals on Wheels? Are you baking on wheels? How did you guys come along? There's many different steps on it as to how to start your business. So, smallbusiness.com. They say, of course, naturally, as I say in all shows, make sure you get your inspections and contact your Department of Licensing and your inspections and your Business Regulations Office and or Health Department in your area. You got to learn, they're telling you that you have to learn whether or not it's even legal to do a home business. Some cities or towns may not allow you to prepare food for sale in your mind. Number 2, they say ask a licensing or health department if you need to renovate your home for that type of business. And of course, as I said before, maintain your permits and your licenses, like food handling license, and there might be some fees or something connected to that. But food handling, make sure you meet all the requirements, have the right type of insurance. I would definitely contact the insurance companies and the agents and make sure you get the right type of insurance to protect your biz. That's also very important, because one little stupid thing can shut you down. And, especially at the beginning of the year when all these businesses are trying to come to the forefront to get acknowledgement, make sure you have your P's and Q's, done all the formalities and all the fundamentals. Make sure you do an initial list of baked goods to sell. When you're starting from home and starting very small, you want to make sure you have all those little details and test out food. Matter of fact, my buddy Marcel, as I was telling you, he did the same thing. He tested out his products. These are things that you have to do really in any business, but especially when it comes time for consuming products like food and things like that. You start off with, pies and cakes and cookies and all that fun stuff. And then eventually you want to, if you're really interested in going beyond that point, then maybe you can expand to specialty breads. Panera Bread is a big example. They have all kinds of stuff. I mean, my goodness, they've taken the everything bagel and gone way overboard. And they're very delicious. Also, one thing that I've noticed, you also want to get, even for the things that I do, my marketing business and MYB and the things that I put to the forefront, make sure you have your packaging materials together for your baked goods. Your boxes, your styrofoam, your cardboard, your cellophane bags, etc. These are all things that give you a chance to really stand apart from, the clean looking. I just spoke to a magazine owner, Copa Magazine, Food, Fashion, and Wine, and I was very grateful for the conversation because he kind of said that too. He was like, clean, because after a while when food is sitting there or baked goods are sitting there, they can get a little sloppy, look a little messy, when everything to be clean and pristine. So when people come in, come out, they're talking, they're networking, they're shaking hands, they always want to look to the side and see, ooh, a really pretty buffet display. So keep that in mind. Okay, another thing they were saying on Cron, small business, and it's something I kind of have to co-sign on, is when you're doing your labels or when you're getting them created, if you want to cut down on price or you want to cut down on the middleman, you can even do them yourself. I mean, me and my partner, Ed Hurdle, owner of EPH Designs, we went out to Staples one day just to look around and see what we could find, little things for our market. We're really trying to be self-made as possible. There's nothing wrong with working for someone there, but this is with the business that I talk about, a lot of times I try to encourage, self-ownership or ownership, of business and being independent contractors, and I'll be doing that show next. But make sure all your labels are also approved with state requirement. That's another thing. I didn't realize that. I thought you could just create your labels and and that's it, go from there. But you also have to get those approved by the state. Well, guys, before we go any further, I would like to take this call. And that's name is the Dis. The Dis? Okay, honey, well, let's check you out. Can you hear me, caller? How can I help you today? Hello? All that good stuff. And as I always say, what? Advertise, advertise, advertise. I'm just talking with another good friend of mine. We were talking about the things that he has in order for his baking business. Advertise, advertise, advertise. You can do You can even go out to these different events, and I'll go into that also. There's tons of particular. So even further, even deeper, here are some ideas to expand your business, to expand and advertise your baking goods. Okay, like I said, you got the baking events. According to the ASBE Oregon, that's the American Society of Baking. There's the annual Baking Tech of 2013. So that's every single year. TopEventsUSA.com. In Maryland, I'll give you some of that, then I'll go into D.C. Maryland, they have of course, the Independence Day celebration, the 4th of July celebration, but one of the biggest that they mentioned was in Annapolis, Maryland. So check that out. In Germantown, you have the Oktoberfest, and that's been going on for quite some time, and they're getting better and bigger every single. You also have Ocean City, and they have the Sunfest. In Baltimore, you have, of course, I know you guys know, you have the Baltimore Thanksgiving Parade. For you green environmental awareness folks out there, you have the Festival of Trees. There's many different areas you can shoot into. And also in D.C., you have the White House Easter Roll Festival, and that's in March. You got to venture out. You don't just want to stay local, at least in the DMV area and Baltimore area. And that's not to say, but at least try to not just stay in your little neighborhood. Try to grow, expand, and you never know when you get into that industry. Who knows who? At least in your DMV area. Also, they also have in DC of course the Cherry Blossom Parade every single year. They actually tried the nerve to try to take away the cherry blossoms in DC, which didn't make any sense to me. That's a part of DC's history. So thank God they kept that. Passport DC Memorial Day Parade. That's a real big one, of course. The National Capital Barbecue Battle. That's another very big one because I believe that's close naturally to the summertime. And you also have the book festival. But even, let me go back to the barbecue, because the barbecue festivals during the summertime is a really, really good time. Make sure you have the proper refrigeration and proper cooling systems because, when you're having baked goods and you have a particular icing or something that might melt, you want to make sure you have it cooled properly. So when you put it out there, it doesn't melt in 2 seconds as soon as you put it out. As I said before with the gentleman I was speaking to with Copa Magazine, you have to make sure everything looks clean and neat. When you're sitting out there for hours on end, especially if it's hot, and you're sitting out there, it's only you or maybe you and a few other people at the table. So make sure you have that in order. And they have the chili cook-off, but I'll go into that also. Yeah, the book festival, you got the Marine Corps Marathon. Once again, that's another big one. Contact these people. They have vendors all around and even a little outside of the festival. People are coming in. You got to be smart. You got to be real savvy. People who are even parking going towards the festival. Some people are smart enough to even set up around that area because, there's hot dog stands, all kind of stuff. You don't have to be in the thick of the crowd. So when you're packing up and you're leaving, you're cleaning up, what happens? You don't have to wait all day long. Let's just say you have 2 and 3 events in one day that you're trying to cover. Or maybe you split efforts with your team. Now you gotta, they're waiting for you. And you're still at the festival downtown. It's a mess, especially if it goes towards the evening. Of course, you have the wine festival. So anyway, guys, call in with your comment, 1-877-704-1010 or 410-481-1010. Or you can listen live on WOLBbaltimore.com. And for the radio show's website, you can also go to www.mybtalkradio.com. I want to know, what your story is in a lot of the Baltimore areas and some of the Montgomery County areas. There are a lot of Orthodox areas. You could do kosher bakeries. You could do bakeries wholesale. You could get in touch with some of these manufacturers and make sure you hook up with them. So maybe you can just do a wholesale type of thing where you are a provider and a supplier to other bakeries. You can do it online. Maybe you could so you have no inventory. So you can have it on demand. Maybe you can, in addition to the business you already have as side products, the possibilities are endless. You want to make sure that you cover everything. So maybe one day you can actually become a big boy company if you are not already affiliated. And the what's on your BizMind tab on the a2biz.biz. And here are some questions for you. Just to think about and run around your mind. You would think it's common sense, but we miss things all the time. So, 1, do you have the right staff? 2, do you have the right logo? Do you have the right advertising? Who is your true audience? who focus. You don't want to be all scattered. Focus on who your true audience is. Are you as organized as you could be? Do you have a website and corresponding email? How big or small is your business network? Do you have a reliable mailing distribution system? That's also very important. You want to make sure your products are getting out to your clients. And how well is your business known in your area? Do you have the business cards and products, or business cards and postcards in the front of all the local businesses? How many businesses, if any, have your similar product? Is the market for your product saturated, or is there still a true need for what you have to offer? Have you chosen what your business color theme is when you're doing all these advertisements? Stick with something so people become familiar with who you are. So when you're, just what happens when you come to the end of a deal or a contract? You come to the dotted line. From 100 BC, and probably before that, until now, baking goods have been a part of our world. We've enjoyed, consumed, purchased, created, founded, and franchised bakeries for years. Some people have found out how to profit from this industry and made millions. You have to have many options in the business, at home, the storefront, of course, online. But as I said, with the questions that I ran down, you got to think, are you thinking about your competition? Do you have a business plan in place? Do you have the right insurance? Simple but not yet so simple questions. Do you have a color theme? Do you have business cards in the front of local businesses? So many things to think about. But it's very, very necessary if you want to bake all the way to the bank. Well, that's about it, guys. Like I said, I really appreciate you all tuning in. Caller, make sure you call back next Monday. I'm here every single Monday from 1:30 to 2 p.m. on Radio 1's WOLB 1010 AM. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and Let's Talk Business on LinkedIn. Before I go, I got to let you know there's no business like your own business. Once again, this is Miss Robin-Annette signing off on Radio 1's WOLB 1010 AM in Baltimore.